Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic stories of all time, a true underdog tale that has inspired millions for thousands of years. We're talking about David and Goliath, found in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 17. This isn't just a story about a boy and a giant. It's a powerful lesson about faith, courage, and where we find our true strength. So let's set the scene. Ancient Israel is at war. The Philistine army has gathered against them, and the two forces are camped on opposite hills with a valley in between. But this isn't a typical standoff. Every morning and every evening, for 40 days, a champion from the Philistine camp steps forward. His name is Goliath, and Goliath is terrifying. The Bible describes him as over 9 feet tall. He's decked out in heavy bronze armor, carrying a spear so massive its tip alone weighed more than 15 pounds. He roars across the valley, mocking the Israelites and their God, challenging them to send out a single man to fight him. The deal is simple. Whoever wins, their nation will rule the other. But the Israelite army, including their king, Saul, is paralyzed with fear. No one dares to face this giant. Now enter our hero, David. He's not a soldier. He's the youngest son of Jesse, a shepherd boy from Bethlehem. His father sends him to the battlefront, not to fight, but to deliver food to his older brothers who are in the army, and to bring back news of how they're doing. When David arrives, he hears Goliath's taunts. But unlike everyone else, David doesn't react with fear. He reacts with righteous indignation. He asks, "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" David's perspective is completely different. He doesn't see an unbeatable giant. He sees someone disrespecting his God. This gets him noticed, and he's eventually brought before King Saul. David, this young shepherd, boldly declares, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." King Saul is understandably skeptical. He looks at David, a youth with no battle experience, and then thinks of Goliath, a warrior from his youth. He tells David, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David has a response that changes everything. He doesn't talk about his own strength or fighting skills. Instead, he shares his resume of faith. He tells Saul how, while watching his father's sheep, he faced down both a lion and a bear that tried to attack the flock. He says, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." David's confidence isn't in himself. It's in God's proven track record of faithfulness. He has seen God's power at work in the quiet pastures, and he believes that same power will work on the battlefield. Convinced by David's faith, Saul finally agrees. He tries to dress David in his own royal armor, a bronze helmet and a coat of mail, but it doesn't fit. It's heavy, unfamiliar, and cumbersome. David takes it all off. He knows he can't fight someone else's battle with someone else's tools. He has to be himself and trust what he knows. So, what does he take? He walks to a nearby stream and chooses 5 smooth stones. He puts them in his shepherd's bag. In his hand, he carries his shepherd's staff and his sling. That's it. A staff, a sling, and 5 stones. He walks out to face the giant. When Goliath sees this boy coming toward him with a stick, he is insulted. He roars, "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" He curses David by his gods and promises to feed his flesh to the birds and the wild animals. But David's reply is one of the most powerful declarations of faith in the entire Bible. He says, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel." David reframes the entire battle. This isn't David versus Goliath. This is God versus the defiance of Goliath. David is just the vessel. With that, David runs toward the battle line. He reaches into his bag, takes out a stone, puts it in his sling, and lets it fly. The stone sinks into Goliath's forehead, and the giant falls face down on the ground. David then takes Goliath's own sword and finishes the fight. When the Philistines see their champion is dead, they panic and flee. The Israelites, filled with a newfound courage, chase after them and win a decisive victory. A shepherd boy with a sling and a stone changed the course of history. So what can we learn from this incredible story? First, the power of faith. David's faith wasn't a blind hope. It was built on his personal history with God. He remembered God's faithfulness in the small private battles of his life, which gave him the confidence to face the huge public one. It reminds us that our faith grows when we recognize God's hand in our everyday lives. Second, courage is not the absence of fear, but acting in spite of it. The entire Israelite army was afraid. The difference was that David acted. His faith prompted him to move. Sometimes faith requires us to step out of our comfort zone and take that first step, trusting that God will meet us there. Third, God's power works through our weakness. David rejected the king's armor because it wasn't his. He used what he had, a simple sling. He knew that the victory wouldn't come from human strength or military equipment, but from God. This story beautifully illustrates that God can use our ordinary skills and abilities to do extraordinary things as long as we make them available to Him. Finally, let's reflect on this for our own lives. What are the Goliaths you are facing? They might not be 9-foot giants, but they can feel just as intimidating. Maybe it's a challenge at work, a difficult relationship, a personal struggle, or a fear that holds you back. David's story teaches us to see our giants from God's perspective. When we face our challenges in the name of the Lord, relying on His strength and not our own, the impossible becomes possible. The battle belongs to the Lord. Think about it. How can you apply David's faith to your own life? How can you start trusting God with the lions and bears so you're ready for the Goliaths? This story isn't just ancient history. It's a timeless invitation to live a life of courageous faith. Thanks so much for watching. If this story encouraged you, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe for more content that explores these powerful truths. We'll see you in the next video.